Housewives of Durban star, Surisha Naidu, sits with us with a very exclusive interview only on Get Real.
Hey guys, this is Surisha Naidu and I'm on one of South Africa's best TV shows, Get Real, with Denver Nika on Glow TV.
Hi Surisha, welcome back to the Get Real show.
Oh, good to be back, Denver. Thank you for having me.
Wow, the pleasure is always ours. And I know you on season 2 of the Housewives of Durban, a very, very fascinating series that is currently showing and trending all over South Africa, and I should say, even trending across maybe the global states as well at the same time. Let's talk about your character on season 1 before we move on to season 2.
Okay, so it's not really a character, as you know. I think lots of people get that whole vibe wrong because it is a reality show. Real Housewives of Durban season 1 was great. I think, you know, being a newcomer to reality, it was experimental. I needed to know what the show was like and, you know, get comfortable. So in season 1, I found that I was very reserved. And now going on to Real Housewives of Durban season 2, you're a little more relaxed. You know the ladies a little longer. You know all about them from season 1. Yes, there's a few new ladies, but you know you kind of get the idea of what is happening from your experience on season 1.
Surisha, so for most of our viewers that are trying to understand the Housewives of Durban series, let's give them a little bit of a gist of it. You're actually inviting I would say the public at large into your private capacity. Now, you being a wife and a mother and also a businesswoman at the same time, how does it make you feel that now you're allowing this sort of environment into your private space?
Reality TV is always hard, you know, because there's a lot you have to internalize before you open your doors to the public. So for me, when I started and decided up here, emotionally, mentally, is this something I want to do? And I think the buy-in had to come from the rest of my family. So once I got buy-in from my family, my immediate family, and they were happy to do it, then, you know, it just made me relax a bit more. But Denver, I'm so glad you brought that up because, you know, a lot of people often comment and say, oh my God, why are they the Real Housewives? Because Real Housewives actually do like housework and they should be dusting and cleaning and vacuuming. And as much as I love my Dyson from Hershey's, at the end of the day, and using it, at the end of the day, the Housewives is from a brand which is from overseas, a part of the NBC affiliate, where it's the Real Housewives are actually housewives who do nothing. So it's people who are wealthy and, you know, they get to lay around and like just sit around and read a magazine and hang with their friends and go have brunches and teas and sail and yacht and all of that stuff, right? I'm not saying the Real Housewives of Durban epitomize that because most of the housewives that we hustle, we work for a living, we have businesses, we have ambition, you know, so in essence, it's not about women doing any housework as such.
Okay, so just a little bit off the topic, and now you've made mention of that. You said you hustle, and I would say for the money that you make. That's a good statement to make because many out there would perceive you as this, you know what, I have it all and I don't need to work and I'm just going to sit back, relax, lounge and be on the yachts, traveling the world and money's just going to flow to me. Is that the case?
I wish that was the case, but actually, if I wish that was the case, I'd probably be bored out of my mind. And I think for me, it's really important to, you know, stand on your own 2 feet, make sure you have a job, make sure you're able to wake up in the morning and fulfill a purpose. And although I love being a mom, and I love that purpose that my kids give me in life, I also need something else. Because, you know, you're a mom for like 3 hours in the morning, then they go to school, and then you're a mom for 3 hours in the afternoon. So in between, you really have to focus and decide, you know, am I going to be a gym mom all day and live in my track pants? Or do I want to be a, you know, working woman? So in essence, I feel like I have it all because I have a business which I can literally get to. I can run remotely. I can run physically by being there. I have another import-export business as well. But all of it gives me purpose. It gives me drive. I want to wake up. I want to evaluate my business. I want to find out what's going on. I want to, you know, those are the things that actually make you tick as a woman. So for me, that's super important to have that. I know I don't need it, but, you know, like I mentioned before, is that nothing is permanent in life. Like, you know, you could wake up and get divorced tomorrow. So you still need that part of your life is that's going to give you that momentum to stand on your own 2 feet.
I was just about to throw the curveball question, is that you don't need to work. I mean, you have it all. I mean, everyone knows this. So, but you've decided to work. You are married to one of the wealthiest businessmen in South Africa, but you choose to work to obviously sustain yourself and be independent.
Yes. I mean, can you imagine me buying Viv a gift with his own money? So, you know, at the end of the day, for me, it's like, at least I have my own money. And if I need to gift him, I know that it's from my own hard work. You know, for me, those little things are important.
And just to touch on that, you know, from our first season with you, which was you were with us on season 1, you did make mention that you had worked extremely hard to get to where you are today. And you were moving around from pillar to post, jumping into cars, dressing in your cars to get to your shoots, which many of us did not see. We're only seeing the final product of that. Looking back then and to where you are now, I mean, is there anything that you regret or learned from?
You know, Denver, there were like so many days where I would cry because, you know, I couldn't even manage to run a business that I started myself. So in many ways, I wouldn't change it because I feel like it's all been a learning curve to me. All the sadnesses, all the tears, all the cries, all the heartache, it makes you the woman or the person you are to become. So I wouldn't change anything. I feel like everything is a learning curve. Every piece of criticism in your life, every tear you shed grows you and molds you into the stronger individual person you are to become.
We'll be back after this. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, we are in a very exclusive interview with Surisha Naidu. Surisha, during the break we were chatting about the challenges that you experienced, and again we must reiterate that you're a normal individual, a very humble individual at the same time, and you also give back a lot to the public, and we see that on your social media platforms. Why do you do so effortlessly?
I think that would also be with a great partner. Like my husband is very supportive. I think if you don't have a supportive spouse, you are really going to struggle. And he's one of those spouses who will never hold you back, who will always push you. And, you know, that for me is a winning formula. If you have and you're happy with the person you've chosen in life, then you don't have any issues. There's one less thing to worry about in your life. You know, they say, happy wife, happy life, right? So, yeah, so I am a happy wife. But also, in saying that, it's also important to not just take. And then as a couple, Viv and I decided is that we want to give back all the time. And those are things that, you know, he constantly does with me and with the Sabaya Trust. And I'm also privy to help with, you know, the issues we want to drive and places and environments and institutions we want to assist. So for me, that's a big deal. I mean, on a regular basis, I told you before, SPCA is very close to my heart. Animals are very close to my heart, so that's also important. But it's making sure that your feet are always on the ground, making sure that you still remember who you are every day. And that for me is a successful formula. Because the minute you start thinking that you're better than someone, or you're better, or because you have this and you have that, and you're on this platform, it doesn't mean necessarily that you should use that, you know, as a disservice to everyone else who may not have as much as you or may not be in a position that you're in. So for me, it's like the scales could tip at any moment. So you must always worry about the fact that you could also be on that receiving end and have somebody in a position where they have this right to either treat you well or not treat you well. So for me, I'm always like, I want to keep my feet on the ground. So I'm never in the clouds. I mean, I may want to reach for the stars and beyond, but I always make sure that my feet are on the ground.
I think you're already with the stars, so you don't have to be too concerned about that. Now, stepping out in public, this is something where most of our viewers may be wondering. Now, you are perceived as Vivian Reddy's wife. Well, you are Vivian Reddy's wife. Now, your personality is Surisha Naidu, that's Vivian Reddy. Do you feel that your character representation is built on his personality?
Oh, that's such a good question, Dee, because for a long time, it felt like, you know, I was Viv's wife. And wherever we went, they would say, oh, hi, Mrs. Reddy. They would automatically assume that I had his surname. Like, oh, hi, Mrs. Reddy, how are you? Blah, blah, come in, whatever. So I had that I was his wife, and that was
Yeah.
the be all and end all, right? So when I started acting and when the show started and then the reality show started, it's like everyone calls him like, oh, hi, Mr. Naidu, because they assume my surname is his surname.
Yes,
So
yeah.
it's like it's almost changed around, but he's actually okay with it. He's very comfortable with it. And I guess it's made me a little more free to be who I want to be. And devoid of, being Vivian Reddy's wife, because I've always liked to be my own person. That has never changed. I still will wear my flip-flops out of the house and have a scraggy t-shirt with a pair of jeans, and that's how I'm comfortable, and I've never felt the need to dress up to be a certain way and act a certain way because of circumstances. I really just want to be the chick from Shallcross. And it's just the location that's changed and the address has changed, but personally, my heart is still very much in place.
And your kids, I mean, I know it's obviously a very sensitive question. Your kids, I mean, how do they feel to know that their mom is this well-known celebrity in South Africa? That you also get different parts to being a celebrity. You not only get the best, you're also getting the ones you have to deal with on a different level. How do they deal with that?
My kids are so far removed from who Viv and I are. They don't see us as like Vivian Reddy or Surisha Naidu. They just see us as mom and dad. We are those characters, and those characters will never change in their lives. They have not even watched one episode of The Real Housewives of Durban. And you know what? I actually don't even care if they don't watch it, because they're not interested right now. They're at the age where they're still into themselves and they're into school. And I don't expect them to be a part of that world, because it's not in their calling right now to be involved, to be in the limelight, to want that. Both of them are really shy, but I can see my daughter kind of turning towards this kind of avenue and industry. She's drama. She's she loves being in performances. She loves to perform, and I see a little bit of that. I see a little bit of me, but in saying that, she is still an individual. So I never want to rub off on them and say, this is the way you must be. And I've seen a performance of hers recently, and I said, oh, you must do it like this. And she goes, no, I'm going to do it like this because I believe. And in that moment, it's like you just want to say, but I feel it's going to be better this way. And then I had to take a step back and realize that I need to give her the power to make her own decisions. Whether it's good, whether it's bad, whatever she chooses, it must be of her own, intuition and her own power. And I feel a lot of parents, we take away power from our kids because we want them to be a certain way. So, and I've said this before, I'm not sure if you and I have ever conversed about it. It's like my kids can come to me and say, Mom, I'm marrying a black person, a white person, an Indian person, I must be happy. Mom, I'm gay. Mom, I'm, whatever. They must be comfortable in knowing that I, as a parent, and Viv as a parent, that we're going to be open-minded. Because I think kids have it hard already. So for them not to be in a safe space in the family, to be openly available and in their true selves, that is a problem.
Do you think, our cultures have really reached that stage of what you've just mentioned?
I think some people are really progressive, and hats off to them as families, as parents. But I think there are a lot of Indian people, especially parents, who are stuck in the way things used to be. And we've got to, the world is opening. They say we're going into this beautiful golden age, and everything has to be open, and all the light has to, we have to be enlightened individuals now. And that starts here in the family.
Wow. We'll be back after this. Welcome back. We are in conversation with Surisha Naidu. Surisha, let's talk about the Housewives of Durban. Firstly, do all you ladies actually get on? I know you seem like you, sometimes in very intense conversations, like we as the viewers want to just say, hey, let's hold it right there now.
Oh, wow. So all the housewives, there's seven of us, and we get along really well. But there are moments where we don't get along at all. Of late in an episode, we're not seeing eye to eye. And you know what? And and this is where it's important to me, because I feel like social media can really be crazy about being opinionated about an opinion. So for example, if I feel a certain way and I've done something wrong, you know you're going to get criticized from like heavy height. But it's also important to know that that person's being themselves. So you need to give them room to breathe. So often I find that the show is driven by opinions or haters or lovers of people on the show. And even though, you know, the girls are their authentic selves, it can be difficult, you know, to take on the good and bad of what other people may prophesize the show to be. So right now, a few of us are not talking, but it is what it is, and we'll sort it out when the time is right. But in essence, every single one of these ladies are amazing.
Yeah.
They're beautiful to be around. And, you know, I feel like most of us have made friendships for life. So we will always be in contact. We'll never lose touch. So it's not just the show. We still communicate outside of the show. We have relationships outside of the show. We meet for coffee outside of the show. We visit each other's homes outside of the show. So for me, season 1 has helped us build the friendship, and season 2 is just like we're expanding and really getting to know the spicy sides of each other. And season 1, everyone is like, oh, Swish is such a sweetheart, such a sweetheart, such a sweetheart. And I'm like, but I'm not always a sweetheart. I'm also a very determined, spicy individual, you know, and some parts of that people have put me in this box and they want me to stay in this box, but I can't always stay in that box because I'm a good mom, I'm an angry mom, I'm a feisty mom. And so is Sarisha. Sarisha can be happy, sad, angry, and opinionated. And I think it's very important for people to know that, because you can't stay in your box as per how your fans see you. And I think that for me is very important.
So you did make mention that some of the ladies and you are not talking at the moment, which makes it a true reflection of what the show is about. It's actually giving us an idea, you know what, this is not scripted. Now, so how do you guys work that out? I mean, you're just walking in and you're just like showing the reality of your lives.
So what happens is we follow on from what has happened in the last scene. For example, Denver, if you were in the show and I had a fight with you, then we end the scene and we're done. So the producer will call me up and say, hey, do you want to speak to Denver? Do you want to work anything out with him? And I could say, no, I don't want to speak to Denver. So that scene won't happen. Or I could say, yes, actually, I have a few things to say to Denver. And then the show will set up for you. So if Denver and I take 6 hours to resolve our whatever titter-tatter that we have, the show will take 6 hours and maybe only 4 minutes will be seen on the actual show. Because, I mean, can you imagine a 6-hour Real Housewife fight? So it's, you know, you don't always get the entire context of the scene because we only have 40 minutes to give to you. So a lot has to happen in 40 minutes. So sometimes people are confused as to, oh, I didn't see that. Oh, what happened here? Oh, I can't join these pieces because there's so much happening all the time. And remember, that's a lot of tape to get through to get the show out as well. And
with regards to your emotions, I mean, you'll show it so evidently to the viewers. Like, you're not afraid to say, I'm angry. I'm like infuriated with what you've just told me. And also, when you're happy, you display that as well. I mean, do you control your emotions when realizing you've got all these cameras that's now focused on you?
No one controls emotions. It's very sad, but like no one does. And I don't know. It takes a lot to get me angry. And season 2, I get angry because, you know, at the end of the day, the only things that will make me angry is when someone questions my decisions that I've made on my money and my time. So for me, that is important. But I think it's okay as well, because you get angry, you're a real person. You get sad, you're a real person. You get happy, you're a real person. You got to show all sides of your character.
Surisha, just again, I would like to bring out a very important factor, and I would like our viewers to know this about you, is that you do get sometimes a bit of a negative liplash on the social media, but they're perceiving a different personality of you. They're not seeing the genuine side of who you really are. And if there's anything that you feel that you need to get out there, I mean, what would you tell them?
I think, shame, for the Real Housewives of Durban, all the cast members, people can be really aggressive on myself, but especially on a few of the other ladies, on little things that they've done. And I think that happens because people feed into a frenzy. And it's often sad because, you know, you, as a person, to constantly read something negative about you can be so devastating to your soul. You
Yeah.
know, like how would you even wake up every morning? So for me, I kind of decide when I'm going to like read or give energy to something. So Denver, can you imagine like you're hated for 2 weeks on the show and everything on all social media platforms are like angry, angry, angry at
Yes.
you? It's very difficult, you know, to get on with your day. And remember, your day is Denver at work, Denver with his family, Denver, you know. So you've got to separate the people who are actually just there behind a screen making a comment versus you taking advice from a friend, people who genuinely care for you. So you've got to make that separation because lip lashing and social media platforms can be really harsh. So you've got to
Draw the line.
Draw
But
the
I like
line.
the part where you said a person behind the screen,
Yes.
not in front of you.
Yes.
There's a big difference there
Yes.
because that's as far as they can go, only behind the screen, just with their opinions, eh?
safely behind a screen, no one knows, they can say it and they can leave.
Yeah, that's what they can
and
do.
they don't know the impact they've left on that person or individual, you know.
Yes, and with regards to season 2, I mean, what more can we expect? Anything more intriguing?
Wow, season 2, there's still another way trip. Currently, we're in Nambiti. We're coming back from Nambiti and we're going to go on our way trip. That gets crazy. There's still a whole lot of drama coming, but there's also good laughs. It's been an amazing season with everyone.
Wow, you couldn't have said it better. Surisha, thank you so much for being with us here on Glow TV. We'd love for you to do a motivational message to the millions that follow you and love you on our channel.
Hey guys, thank you for watching Get Real. I just want to say in terms of motivation and your get up and go piece of information is that be kind to people. Be kind to people every day of your life, every second that you can be. Tolerate as much as you can because people are also having bad days. And we've just been through an onslaught of 2 years of the worst years of our lives. But I hope you use that to introspect and make sure you make the most of that. So for me, if I had to leave you with anything, is be kind.
Thank you, Surisha, for having us here at your luxurious home and inviting us into your private space. As you've just mentioned, we've been in 2 years of lockdown. So for us to get out and have a little bit of a splurge, it's always a pleasure. Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you, Dee.
Thank you. Join us after the break.